Hi, my name is Mason Dukacek, and I want to welcome you to our show, Build a Tribe Live, where I have the privilege of interviewing thought leaders, authors, and experts in the fields of sales, marketing, both online and offline. And today's guest is Alan Minster, who is the co-author of the book, Sales Utopia, How to Get the Right People Doing the Right Things Enough Times. He's also been featured in the St. Louis Business Journal and also appeared on the cover of Selling Magazine. I've asked Alan to come in and visit with us today. He has provided services to about 850 companies, I guess it is, since 1992, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And helps them increase their sales revenue. He helps them increase the effectiveness of their marketing campaigns and get control over the sales process. And I basically invited Alan in today to tell us how he does that. And just so you know, Alan, the format's pretty simple. Just basically I have about 10 questions I'd like to ask of you, maybe a few follow-ups, and just be yourself and let us know what you think. Before we dive into the questions and the meat of the interview, my favorite thing to start off a show is really just to give you a chance to tell us a little bit about yourself and why it is that you do what you do and why you're in the business you're in.
Sure. Well, I've been in professional selling for about 35 years, and I found that almost all salespeople struggle with several things. Number one, they get busy doing the business. They don't consistently fill their pipeline with new prospects. They do a horrible job of staying in touch with existing customers. They don't do a great job of cross-marketing. And so customers that are loyal customers that might be buying from you end up buying from competitors. And they say things like, gee, I didn't know you guys did that. The problem is with so many in sales is because it's such a activity-intense job that it's easy to confuse activity with productivity.
Sure.
And I found that in my professional selling career as well, is that I was bogged down doing details instead of spending my time with people that were qualified and interested. And what my job is now is to help salespeople focus and spend their time on those opportunities that are most likely to end up in sales. And that's what we talk about, sales process engineering, helping them figure out what is the process to engage and to close more business.
I know you have processes for everything, and I find interesting as I've reviewed your work that the last step in your process is to review and refine before you expand. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about your process and why you feel so strongly about that last step?
One of the biggest advantages of having a process and knowing what's working and what's not is that you can stop doing what's not working and you can turn up the volume on what is producing results. As an example, we had a client who was doing about 4 trade shows per year.
Those aren't cheap.
Not cheap, no. About $25,000 per trade show, not including the time out of the field that the salespeople took. I mean, that wasn't even figured in the cost.
Sure.
So $25,000 4 times a year is $100,000.
Sure, easy.
I asked the president, I said, tell me last year, how many closed business orders how much business did this actually generate? And he looked at me, Mason, and he said, I have no idea.
Wrong answer.
Well, I mean, wrong answer, right? He's spending $100,000 and he doesn't know what his ROI is.
Right.
There is no other area that I can think of in his business that he would even consider that to be remotely okay. But to not know. And that's the same with direct mail campaigns. That's the same. Several years ago, we had a client who was spending a lot of money on newspaper ads. They had one of these eye care clinics that does LASIK, and I'm under non-disclosure, so I can't tell you who it is, but you know who it is. And they had 4 clinics around the metro area, and we determined that almost 80% of their business came from 5 zip codes around each of their clinics, because nobody gets on a car and drives for an hour to go to to buy a pair of glasses.
Right.
So we stopped doing the advertising in the newspaper and the radio ads, and we went to the state of Missouri. And we bought a list of driver's license issuances in those zip codes where their license said they required corrective lens. Now what we did is we turned the focus down on marketing to those people who had a need, and in fact were predisposed because they had that need. The secondary thing we found is in a household where there's one person who requires corrective lenses, there's typically many more.
Right.
So we were able to leverage to dramatically decrease their advertising budget and to dramatically increase their sales because of that focus, because of actually going after people who were most likely to buy what they sold. So
you just really refined that based on what was working and what wasn't until you were really dialed in.
And a lot of that is getting clarity about who the target is too. And we talked about that in the
Sure.
early part of this discussion, is getting clarity about if you had a magic wand and you could create the ideal prospect, what would that prospect look like?
Right.
Position, size of company, location, whatever that is. Have a clear picture. And don't spend your time, which is the one thing you can't get anything more of,
Right.
with people that don't fit that profile.